Egypt, the land of the pharaohs. Gods and mysteries has fascinated us for centuries. Among the many gods and goddesses that graced the pantheon of ancient Egypt, one deity stands out for her duality, her power, and her unique connection to both the fierce and the nurturing aspects of life. That goddess is Bastet, the protector of the home, the goddess of fertility, love, and war, and one of the most beloved figures in Egyptian mythology. In this video, we will explore the origins of Bastet, her evolution, and the profound impact she had on the ancient Egyptian world. We'll uncover her roles as both a fierce warrior and a gentle protector, her relationship with other gods and goddesses, and how she continues to resonate in modern times. Bastet's story begins in the early dynastic period of Egypt, during the Second Dynasty, around 2890 BCE. In her earliest form, Bastet was not the gentle cat goddess we know today, but rather a fierce lioness associated with the sun. This lioness form symbolized power, strength, and protection. She was invoked in times of battle and conflict, embodying the unrelenting force of nature that was needed to protect Egypt from its enemies. As a lioness goddess, Bastet was linked to the destructive and protective aspects of the sun god Ra. In the early Egyptian mythological framework, she was seen as a powerful, almost wrathful force, capable of both protecting Egypt and punishing those who threatened it. Her role was vital in the defense of Egypt, which was often at war with neighboring lands. Initially, Bastet's role was closely tied to the lioness form of the goddess Sekhmet, Ra's daughter. Sekhmet, known for her wrath and destructive power, was the embodiment of the sun's fury, whereas Bastet, though still fierce, had a slightly different role as a guardian goddess, one who embodied the maternal and protective aspects of the sun's energy. In these early representations, Bastet was depicted either as a full lioness or as a woman with the head of a lioness. She carried with her the potent symbolism of a fierce, untamable creature, a guardian of the realm, fierce in battle and a fierce protector of those under her care. As a lioness goddess, Bastet was deeply connected to the protection of Egypt's borders and the well-being of the people. Egyptians believed that by invoking her, they could call upon her protective powers, whether to defend the land from invaders or to ensure the security of their families. Bastet's association with war was reflected in her role as a goddess who would fight alongside Egypt's armies. Bastet's role as a war deity was not just physical, it was also spiritual. She symbolized the sun's life-giving power, and like the sun, she was believed to provide light and warmth to her followers, while also wielding the destructive, purging force of the sun's rays. The dual nature of her personality, destructive yet nurturing, would become a recurring theme in her evolution over time. However, as Egypt's social and political structures evolved, so did the nature of the gods and goddesses who protected the land. During the New Kingdom period, around the 18th dynasty, Bastet's image began to change, a reflection of Egypt's changing attitudes towards warfare, family, and domestic life. Over time, she became more than just a fierce protector. She also became a guardian of the home, family, and love. By this point, Bastet began to embody not just war, but also love, fertility, and harmony. While the lioness was still a symbol of her early power, her cat-like form began to dominate. Cats, sacred to her, became symbols of the goddess's protection, grace, and independence. The feline nature of Bastet represented both her strength and the ease with which she could protect and nurture, a balance that reflected her multifaceted nature. Bastet's evolution from lioness to cat is a testament to the changing priorities of ancient Egypt. But even as her image softened, her power remained undeniable, a force that protected the people, their homes, and their lives. This duality, the fierce protector and the nurturing mother, would become the defining characteristic of Bastet's identity throughout Egyptian history. The dual nature of Bastet. Bastet's character is defined by a striking duality, one that reflects the complexity of ancient Egyptian beliefs about the balance between light and dark, nurturing and destruction, life and death. Her transformation from a lioness goddess to the protective cat represents two sides of the same coin. To fully understand Bastet, we must explore the two contrasting yet complementary roles she played in Egyptian society and mythology. In early Egyptian mythology, Bastet was called upon in times of war and conflict, where her lioness form made her the embodiment of rage and fury. Like her sister Sekhmet, she was a guardian of the pharaoh, a fierce protector of the nation. Her strength and power were invoked by warriors preparing for battle, and by those who needed her protection from their enemies. The story of Bastet's transformation. The most important myth that highlights this shift in Bastet's nature is her transformation during the reign of Ra. In one of the most well-known Egyptian stories, Ra, the sun god, sent Bastet to punish humanity for their sins. As the embodiment of Ra's wrath, Bastet took on the role of an unstoppable force of destruction. Much like Sekhmet, Bastet went on a rampage, slaying those who had disobeyed Ra's orders. But soon, the destruction became too much, even for the gods to bear. Ra, seeing the chaos that Bastet was creating, decided that the world needed balance once again. In response, he called her back, and in an act of mercy, he transformed her into a gentler form, that of a domestic cat. This change was more than just physical. It symbolized the need for balance between destruction and creation, between power and tenderness. The gentle, playful nature of the cat reflected the nurturing side of Bastet that would become prominent in her worship from that point onward. Bastet as the protector of the home and family. While Bastet's lioness side remained an important part of her mythology, her shift into a more maternal, feline form allowed her to become the goddess of the home, domesticity, and family. Her cat form became a symbol of protection, not in the battlefield, but within the walls of Egyptian homes. As the protector of women, children, and the family unit, Bastet became the embodiment of love, warmth, and nurturing care. Bastet's role as a guardian of the home made her a beloved goddess among women, particularly mothers. She was called upon during childbirth, and her blessings were sought for the protection of the family. The Egyptians believed that Bastet's presence within the home could shield them from illness, evil spirits, and misfortune. The warrior and the nurturer. How Bastet balances both. Despite Bastet's transformation into a gentler goddess of the home, her warrior side never completely faded. In times of danger or war, Bastet could still call upon the power of the lioness within her. This duality of protector and nurturer, of the fierce and the gentle, made Bastet one of the most complex and revered figures in Egyptian religion. Bastet's duality allowed her to serve a multitude of roles in Egyptian society. She was the fierce protector of the pharaoh and the warrior goddess who helped to defend Egypt from invasion. But she was also the tender mother, watching over her children, offering solace to the weary, and nurturing the sick and weak. Bastet's family and mythological lineage. Bastet's origins, like those of many Egyptian deities, are intricately tied to her divine family and her place within the larger framework of Egyptian mythology. To fully understand the depth of her power and significance, it's essential to look at the relationships she shared with her father, Ra, and her siblings, including her powerful sister, Sekhmet. Bastet was considered one of Ra's daughters, a member of the most revered and powerful family in all of Egyptian mythology. Ra, the sun god, was the embodiment of life, light, and creation. As his daughter, Bastet inherited not just his divine energy, but also his vital role in sustaining the balance of the cosmos. Ra was often depicted as a falcon-headed god, representing the sun at its peak. He was seen as the ultimate source of power, life, and order in the world. Bastet, as his daughter, was also a divine being who wielded the light of the sun, though her role was more nuanced. She was not only the protector of Egypt's borders, but she was also an embodiment of the sun's life-giving warmth, its ability to nurture, and, in her earlier form, its ability to destroy those who threatened balance. Bastet, like her father Ra, was linked to the solar cycle. She could both bring destruction and renewal, but it was her transformation over time, from a warrior goddess to a maternal protector, that set her apart from Ra. While Ra was a solitary figure in the sky, Bastet became an embodiment of both strength and nurturing, the fierce protector in times of war and the loving guardian in times of peace. Bastet's sister, Sekhmet, the warrior goddess. Bastet's relationship with her sister Sekhmet is one of the most important dynamics in Egyptian mythology. Sekhmet, also a daughter of Ra, was known as the goddess of war, vengeance, and destruction. She was depicted as a lioness, much like the early form of Bastet. However, where Bastet balanced her strength with tenderness, Sekhmet was the embodiment of divine wrath and the sun's fury. Though Sekhmet and Bastet shared similar lioness-like qualities and both represented aspects of the sun, they were fundamentally different in their personalities and roles. Bastet's dual nature, both warrior and mother, allowed her to play a more versatile role in Egyptian society, whereas Sekhmet was primarily a figure of wrath, destruction, and divine justice. Their relationship reflects the balance between the destructive and the nurturing forces in the universe. Bastet's healing aspect was tied to her role as a mother goddess. As a protector of women and children, she was especially revered during childbirth, when women sought her blessings for a safe delivery. Her healing powers were invoked to safeguard the family and bring peace and comfort in times of illness or hardship. Bastet's symbolic lineage and legacy. Bastet's family and her place in the divine hierarchy are integral to understanding her role in Egyptian mythology. She was part of a divine lineage that spanned both the destructive and the protective forces of the universe. From her father Ra, she inherited the divine energy of the sun, and from her sister Sekhmet, she inherited the power of destruction and vengeance. But Bastet was unique. She combined the strengths of both, tempered with compassion, nurturing, and balance. As Egypt's protector, healer, and nurturer, Bastet's legacy continued long after her worship reached its peak in the New Kingdom. She remains a powerful figure in modern spiritual practices, a goddess who represents the balance between strength and tenderness, destruction and protection, war and peace. Bastet's protective nature extended beyond physical safety. She was also called upon to safeguard the family from evil spirits and misfortune. Egyptians believed that by invoking her name and offering her prayers, they could keep away illness, bad luck, and harmful forces. Just as the goddess protected Egypt from external invaders, so too did she protect the sanctity of the home and its inhabitants. In a culture that deeply revered the family structure, Bastet became a central figure for women and mothers. She was the goddess who nurtured life and ensured the prosperity of the family unit. For Egyptian women, especially those preparing to become mothers, Bastet was seen as a symbol of fertility, guiding them through the challenges of childbirth and providing them with the strength to raise children. As the goddess of fertility, Bastet was also revered for her role in ensuring the continued growth and prosperity of Egypt itself. The fertility of the land, the crops, and the people were all seen as manifestations of Bastet's blessings. Just as she protected the home and family, she was also invoked to bless the earth and ensure a good harvest. Bastet's connection to fertility extended to both the land and the people. In agricultural societies like ancient Egypt, the health of the crops was essential to survival. Bastet's blessings were sought to ensure the land produced plentiful harvests and that the people had enough food to thrive. In this way, she embodied both the nurturing aspects of motherhood and the vital force that kept the cycle of life moving forward. Bastet was also deeply associated with sexuality and love. In her role as the goddess of love and desire, she was often called upon to aid in matters of romance, passion, and fertility. She was seen as a protector of sexual vitality, ensuring the continuation of both the family and the nation. As part of her role, festivals and rituals dedicated to Bastet often involved music, dancing, and joyful celebrations of fertility and human connection. Priests and priestesses dedicated to Bastet would often conduct rituals of healing, offering herbs, incense, and prayers to invoke her divine protection. Her ability to both prevent illness and heal the sick made her one of the most important deities in the Egyptian medical and spiritual practices. Bastet's role as a protector of health also extended to protecting the soul. She was seen as a goddess who could bring emotional and spiritual balance, shielding her followers from despair and negative forces. In this way, Bastet was revered not only for her physical protection, but also for her ability to provide peace of mind and spiritual well-being. The presence of cats in Egyptian homes was seen as a sign of Bastet's protective influence. It is said that if a cat was harmed, the punishment could be severe, as Egyptians believed that to harm one of Bastet's sacred creatures was an offense against the goddess herself. Cats were regarded as manifestations of Bastet, and they were considered to have divine qualities. Beyond their role in protecting homes, cats were also symbols of mystery and grace. They embodied Bastet's ability to balance the wild and the domestic, the fierce and the gentle. Just as Bastet could be both a warrior and a mother, the cat could be both independent and a companion to the family. Bastet's legacy is a reminder that strength and tenderness can coexist, and that true power often lies in balancing the extremes. Whether as a fierce lioness or a gentle cat, Bastet remains a timeless symbol of protection, love, and the enduring power of femininity. Bastet's influence. Beyond Egypt. While Bastet was one of the most significant deities in ancient Egypt, her influence didn't remain confined to the borders of the Nile. As Egypt engaged in trade, exploration, and conquest, the goddess Bastet's image began to travel far beyond the Egyptian kingdom. Through these interactions, Bastet's story and her symbolic meanings spread to distant lands, sometimes merging with other cultural icons and influencing a broad range of religious and spiritual practices. As Egypt's power and influence extended across the Mediterranean and the Near East, so too did the worship of Bastet. Egyptian merchants, diplomats, and soldiers carried Bastet's image and myth with them, leading to her adoption and integration into the pantheons of other cultures. This spread of Bastet's cult is most notable in the Eastern Mediterranean world, where her image began to appear in cities far from Egypt. In particular, the Greeks came into frequent contact with Egypt. As a result, Bastet's image was merged with that of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, wild animals, and childbirth. Both goddesses were associated with feminine power and protection, and they shared similar roles as protectors of the home and children, making Bastet's qualities an easy fit within Greek religious practices. The Greeks saw Bastet as a protector of women, children, and the home, which mirrored the attributes of Artemis. Over time, the two goddesses became conflated, particularly in the Hellenistic period, where the fusion of Egyptian and Greek religious ideas became widespread. This blending of cultures allowed Bastet's protective and nurturing nature to continue to influence the spiritual practices of the Mediterranean world. Bastet and Roman religion. When the Romans conquered Egypt in 30 BCE, they incorporated many aspects of Egyptian religion into their own beliefs. Bastet, as one of Egypt's most revered goddesses, became part of Roman religious practices, especially as Roman culture continued to embrace the Egyptian fascination with the divine and the afterlife. The Romans were particularly drawn to Bastet's role as a protector of the home and family. As the goddess of domestic life and fertility, she appealed to Roman values of family and the sanctity of the home. Statues of Bastet were commonly placed in Roman households, where she was invoked for protection, health and prosperity, much like the Egyptians had done. In addition to her connection to the family, Bastet was also adopted in the Roman world as a goddess of the wild, blending aspects of her lioness persona with Roman symbols of power and strength. Roman soldiers in particular invoked Bastet as a symbol of courage and protection, much as Egyptian soldiers had done centuries before. Bastet in other ancient cultures. Beyond the Mediterranean world, Bastet's influence also spread into other parts of the ancient world, such as Persia and the Levant. As Egypt expanded its cultural reach, elements of Egyptian religious practices, including the worship of Bastet, made their way into the religious traditions of other ancient cultures. Bastet's legacy did not fade with the fall of the Egyptian and Roman empires. In the modern world, her image continues to be a source of inspiration in popular culture. The resurgence of interest in Egyptian mythology, particularly during the 19th and 20th centuries, brought Bastet back into the cultural spotlight. Bastet has appeared in a wide range of modern media, from films and television shows to comic books and video games. She is often portrayed as a fierce, yet compassionate protector, embodying the balance of strength and nurturing that made her so beloved in ancient times. In the world of graphic novels and video games, Bastet's influence can be seen in characters who combine both the graceful and the fierce aspects of her nature. These modern portrayals are often of strong, independent women who use their powers to protect and defend, much like Bastet did for the Egyptians thousands of years ago. Neo-pagan and modern spirituality. Bastet has also found a place in modern spiritual movements, especially within neo-paganism, Wicca, and various New Age spiritual practices. For those who follow these traditions, Bastet's role as a goddess of protection, love, fertility, and empowerment makes her an important figure to worship and honor in rituals and ceremonies. Across the globe, Bastet's image is used in rituals to honor the feminine, to protect the home, and to bring healing. Her worship is both a personal and collective practice, as followers call upon her blessings for safety, guidance, and strength. Bastet's essence is felt whenever we see a cat move with elegance, grace, and a fierce sense of independence. Whether through the companionship of pets or through her continued representation in art, literature, and media, Bastet's influence remains deeply embedded in our cultural consciousness. Bastet's story is one of evolution, strength, and balance. From her origins as a lioness goddess of war to her transformation into the gentle yet powerful protector of the home, Bastet embodies the complexities of life itself. Over thousands of years, she has gone from being a fierce warrior to a beloved goddess of healing, fertility, and love, making her one of the most revered and enduring deities in Egyptian mythology. Bastet's duality, a symbol of balance. One of the most fascinating aspects of Bastet's legacy is her duality. She represents both the fierce protector and the gentle nurturer. As a lioness, she is the embodiment of strength and aggression, capable of defending her people and land with unmatched ferocity. As a domestic cat, she becomes a symbol of grace, independence, and the quiet yet powerful forces of protection and love. This balance between destruction and creation, power and tenderness, is at the core of Bastet's identity. She reminds us that true strength is not defined by one's ability to conquer or destroy, but by the capacity to care for, nurture, and protect those we love. This dual nature is what made her such a beloved figure, both in ancient times and today. Bastet's role as a protector and healer was critical in the daily lives of ancient Egyptians. She was the goddess who shielded the home and the family, guarding against evil spirits, disease, and misfortune. In times of crisis, Egyptians would turn to her for blessings of health and protection, believing that she could bring peace to their troubled hearts and bodies. Bastet's lasting legacy in modern culture. Though the ancient Egyptian religion faded with the rise of Christianity and Islam, Bastet's influence never truly disappeared. Her image and legacy continue to resonate in the modern world, in ways both subtle and profound. From the popularity of cats as beloved pets to her portrayal in popular media, Bastet's essence is deeply embedded in the cultural consciousness. Films, books, and video games often turn to Bastet as a symbol of female empowerment, strength, and mystery. Characters inspired by her take on roles as protectors, warriors, and mothers, reflecting her timeless balance of fierce power and nurturing love. Her image, especially as a cat, evokes qualities of independence, grace, and quiet power that continue to captivate people of all ages. Bastet in contemporary spirituality. Bastet's influence extends beyond the realms of pop culture and into the spiritual practices of today. Many neo-pagan and New Age spiritual traditions honor her as a goddess of protection, femininity, and empowerment. Wiccan and pagan practitioners invoke her as a symbol of feminine strength, seeking her guidance in matters of love, fertility, and personal growth. In modern spiritual practices, Bastet is often seen as a goddess who offers protection to those who seek it. She is a symbol of resilience, encouraging individuals to embrace their inner strength and assert their personal boundaries while maintaining a gentle, nurturing nature. Her duality continues to be a guiding force for those who honor both the fierce and tender aspects of their own personalities. Bastet, a goddess for all time. Bastet's journey from a fearsome lioness to a beloved domestic goddess mirrors the journey of humanity itself. It is a story of transformation, growth, and the understanding that both strength and tenderness are necessary for survival. Bastet's legacy is one of protection, love, and balance, values that transcend time and culture. From the ancient sands of Egypt to the modern world, Bastet's image continues to inspire and empower. She is a goddess who teaches us that true power lies not in domination or destruction, but in the ability to nurture, protect, and balance the forces of light and darkness within ourselves. As long as we seek strength in tenderness, courage in vulnerability, and protection in love, Bastet's spirit will endure, timeless and unyielding. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and legacy of Bastet. May her story inspire you to embrace both your fierce power and your nurturing heart, and to find strength in the delicate balance of life. Leave us your comment, join our family, and follow us for more deep dive in ancient gods and mysteries.